There was a Bunmi before August 21st.
Even I know the day.
Wow. And there was a Bunmi after August 21st. I think I've changed in many ways.
Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Unpack with Nay, a show where we have wholesome and authentic conversations. My name is Angel Anosike and I'm your host. In today's episode, we have Bunmi George, aka Jbums. Bunmi is the founder of Shredder Gang, a community on a mission to empower women to be in the best versions of themselves. In today's episode, we're going to be unpacking a lot about loss, setting clear boundaries, wellness, and so much more. I hope you enjoy watching. If you do not forget to give this video a big thumbs up, comment, and share. So, let's unpack. Hi, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
You look so beautiful. I feel like we're just talking about how you did your makeup yourself, and I cannot believe it because this looks like a professional makeup artist work.
Thank you very much.
Have you always known how to do makeup?
I think I taught myself 12, 14 years ago now, but I feel like even moving to Nigeria,
14, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Like you learned how to do makeup?
Yes.
Professionally?
Well, not professionally, from YouTube.
Oh.
YouTube is, you know.
So have you had any refresher courses?
Once, just before I got married.
Okay.
I just went for a 2-hour class.
I'm very fascinated. You look so beautiful. But I think fundamentally, the thing is your skin.
Good skin.
Good skin.
Good skin, girl.
The skin under it is amazing.
Yes, yes.
So just tell us, what's your morning skincare routine like?
So I'm very, very particular about what I put on my skin. And I use Uncover. I'm an Uncover girly. So I use your 5-step. It's the cleanser.
Yeah.
It's a toner. Mm-hmm. It's a vitamin C serum.
I love
it's a moisturizer.
Yeah.
And you must have SPF.
Sunscreen.
Every single day. I make sure that I'm consistent with my skincare routine.
Yeah.
I drink a lot of water as well. And I work out 5 times a week.
5 times?
5 times.
Really?
Yes.
For how long have you been working out for?
Because I've lost 60 kg now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I want to talk about that a little.
Okay.
How long did it take you to lose
so I lost
your most significant weight? How long did you?
So I lost 55 kg in a 14-month period. Wow. Purely diet change and exercise. Nothing else.
So what do you So I'm not a big fan of diet culture, right? In the way that people make it seem. Yeah. But what was the significant change in your diet that led to the weight loss?
I think before even my diet, I changed my mindset.
Love that.
I had a horrible relationship with food.
Okay.
As I've gotten older, I haven't seen what triggered that.
Yeah.
And so I started to change how I thought about food and how I interacted with food.
Yeah.
And when I changed that, so a diet is basically a way of eating. Right.
Yeah.
Now that we've turned diet into a toxic word,
right?
It's just a style of eating.
Yeah.
So I reduced.
Diet culture is annoying.
Exactly.
But once you start understanding fundamentals of your health,
exactly.
That way,
You don't have to starve. You don't have to deprive yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm a Nigerian girl to the core. So even while I was abroad, I was trying to lose weight. I was still eating my efori roll, my moi moi. I was trying to find ways to make it healthier because you know how we use lots of oils, lots of seasoning cubes. So I just changed that around and I made sure that I was moving. I say this all the time. When you take care of your health, your weight, you take care of itself.
I love it. I love it so much. I also was just watching a documentary about gut health, and also listening to a podcast. And I think what people don't understand about weight loss is you have to listen to your body. Because they were talking about how obviously we have all these microbiomes in our stomach that, if there's something that's misplaced in it, it might affect you losing weight. So sometimes people tell you that, have you seen that with your clients? Because obviously she has this amazing platform called Shredder Gang. And obviously you're helping women, empowering women to stay on course with their fitness and everything. So have you seen a situation whereby people are working out, sticking to the change in diet, not diet culture, the change in diet, and they're still not working out? Have you seen any of that?
Not working out in which way?
Sorry, they're still not losing weight.
Yes, so of course that happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, over time, people have starved themselves to lose weight.
Yeah.
And so the body is now used to, functioning on very, very little food. So now we have to start them on a very good diets, introducing more food into their diets. And so many times they're scared, like, oh, how am I eating 5 times? This is a lot of food. I'm like, no, your body needs that. So we introduce more food, introduce workouts that they enjoy. So it's like a lifestyle change. It's not for, I always tell my clients, let's not approach this with a timeline in mind, even though you're paying me for a timeline. I want you to look at it from a holistic point of view and as a lifestyle, rather than I just want to do this for 4 weeks or I just want to lose 5 kg. And that's why people go up and start doing all manners of crazy things to lose weight, and then it affects them, right? So taking teas, laxatives, end up screwing up your system.
Yeah, I really love what you're doing with Shredder Gang. Like I've been working out for about 5 years now, and like you
can see, look at those arms.
But like you, I'm very invested in making, like, it's a lifestyle for me. So I think a lot of people put pressure on themselves to, oh, I want to lose weight, I want to do this, but I feel like the joy comes from just making it a thing. And I'm sure that like that obviously affects your like mental health too,
yes,
how you've been feeling, and which brings me back to just the last couple of weeks for you, right? You've had, wow, like like I can't even imagine how it's been for you. But like, how have you been able to maintain all the life changes in your life, right? And still be in tune with yourself and your fitness?
Okay, so in case people are wondering what has happened to me in the last few months, is I lost my dad, and my brother was murdered. And then my dad couldn't take the loss, and so he died as well. So 10 days after. So my brother and my dad died in 10 days, right? That was a huge blow, still is, to be honest. I went through all manners of emotions. I mean, from shock to trauma, which I'm still dealing with, to just being numb. I remember for a very long period of time, for about 2 months, I didn't have any feeling of hunger.
Wow.
So I didn't know when I was hungry. Just because I guess my body was going through so much, like there's so many emotions that were running through my body. And to be honest, I think that the last 8 months, I have appreciated my body so well, trying to bring me to equilibrium. Honestly, like I could see my body like fighting to keep me afloat. Honestly, and I was like, many times I'm like, listen, you are amazing. Thank you so much. That's
because you also started like working on your body before everything happened.
Yes, right? And so what did I do? I knew that once I started working out, my hunger will come back, right? So I started approaching my fitness more for my mental health, right? Because I was sad. I didn't want to go into depression. I mean, these are things that happen with grief, right? These are things that would definitely happen if you go into grief. Most people go into depression, and some don't even look like they're in depression, right? So I made sure that I was working out just so that I could release happy hormones, endorphins, serotonin, just making sure every day. Like I remember one particular day, my trainer was like, oh yeah, we have 5 more sets to go. I'm like, listen, he's like, we have a goal. Like, my only goal here is mental health, is to feel good. I
love that.
Yeah, so that has really helped me in the last 8 months, honestly, because I wake up every morning and I know that I'm going to work out, and I know that my body is going to do the things it needs to do to keep me in a state of happiness throughout the whole day.
I love that. Yeah. And I'm just looking at you. I remember, like, I feel like obviously I've been following you for a really long time, and I remember just every post I saw, I remember thinking, wow, she's so strong. But obviously that's social media. But you also come from like a very close-knit family, your husband, your kids, your sisterhood, right? And I'm sure that at the core, those are the people that have held you up at this time. What's a shocking way that people have shown up for you? Like a way that someone did something to you and you're like, wow. Like what's a way that people have shown up for you that has truly amazed you?
Because like you said, I'm from a very close-knit family, so I even grew up like that, right? So even like my family, so my mom, my dad, I am the only girl, I have 4 brothers, and then you have 2 of those people pulled out in 10 days. It's crazy, right? But my best friend, in fact, 2 of my best friends flew to Canada.
Wow.
Because I was in Canada when this happened. I live in Lagos, but I was on holiday when this happened, because I go to Toronto every summer to see my children. And he lives in Toronto.
He lives in Toronto,
right? And maybe like a couple days later, I was just having like I was about to have breakfast, and I heard the front door open. And I was even wondering, like, how's the front door even open? Right? And she just walked through the doors with one of my other best friends. And I was like, I was stunned. Because I had been talking to her. And in fact, that morning I was crying. I was wailing. Because it was actually the week after my brother had passed. So my dad was still alive at this point.
That is so crazy.
So she spoke to me the entire time. And just before she came, I was calling her. And she never charges her phone. So I was like, I was angry. She didn't even charge her phone, not knowing that she was driving from the airport to my house. And so when she showed up,
you're calling her while you're crying, right?
Yes, I was calling her while I was crying, like, like I wanted her to kind of comfort me, hear me out, because she really, really helped me. They really helped. Like, I had my community of friends, my sisters, besties, like they were amazing. I don't think that I would have gotten through that period without them. Honestly, like I didn't have to think about childcare for my kids because I still had to be a mom, had to be there for my mom, had to plan a funeral for my brother and then for my dad, right? I didn't have to think about food or anything, or like they created like a whole admin group.
Wow.
Yeah, so making sure that the house was clean, coordinating visits when people can come, how long they can stay, coordinating the cleaning of the house, the ordering of the food. Like just everything was just working like a very well-oiled machine.
That's great.
And honestly, like my friendship, my community, amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I'm so sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I'm just hearing you talk about it and I can't even, I'm a very emotional person. So I'm hearing all of this and this lash is coming loose because there's like tears welling up. But I'm thinking about it because I also come from a very close-knit family. So walking through all the things that you're saying, I just feel it so deeply. And I would love to honor like the memory of your dad and your brother with you just telling us one of your fondest memories growing up, like childhood memories growing up.
Oh, there were a lot, honestly. And I think being an only girl in the mix of these boys, I'm trying to remember one in particular. It was the time that we were living in Montreal. I was maybe about 11 or 12 years old. And I just remember I had a bed, but we were all staying in one room.
Yeah.
And then my brother who has passed away now, was sleeping across from me. And I remember the morning, he just put on Eminem, and my tea is gone cold, I'm wondering why. And I just remember I was just dancing in the room. And, after he passed, these are the things I was remembering. Like, just like even thinking about, when we were younger and them introducing me to like rap, Notorious B.I.G., rap, teach me all these songs. It's just amazing. So yeah, I think that's one of my.
I like that. I'm sure your Spotify or Apple Music, whatever streaming platform you use, is tired of listening to Eminem at this point. You probably rinsed it.
In the beginning, yes, I was, but now I think I'm okay.
You're fine with that. So if you could look back, right, at your life before loss or like grief, what's one thing that you just weren't prepared for? Like, what do you think how do I phrase this question? Like, if you could look back at you, Bunmi before loss, how do you think that the loss has changed you?
Oof. I always say, when people ask me.
Oh, you defined you, rather. Yeah.
There was a Bunmi before August 21st.
Even I know the day.
Wow. And there was a Bunmi after August 21st.
Yeah.
I think I've changed in many ways. I think for the good, and some, I'll say, maybe not for so good, because, I think I'm a little bit more sensitive now than I was before. Because, when you go through something so life-changing, you now look at and see the people that did not reach out to you.
Oh, I see.
Right? When I say I'm sensitive, I'm conscious of it. I'm conscious of the people that actually did reach out to me, the people that did not reach out to me. So that usually before, I wasn't really that. But I feel like when you've gone through something so like tragic and you think that you have people that are
dear to you,
and you feel like they didn't give you the energy that you were expecting, even though that was not really as many people as, to be honest, because I have a great community. Yeah. But I think that I have really, really changed. I think that even the way that I see the world, there's something that loss does to you. One of my, someone I know said something. She said, you don't know that something can be lost until you lose it, right? So I have a very authentic and deep relationship with God, but I'm not going to lie to you and say that there hasn't been some fears here and there of the future, because I mean, my life just changed overnight, right? And I had to deal with, I'll call it an onslaught of mental wars that I was having. And because I'm such a spiritual person, the only way that I knew how to fight back was through the word of God. And I feel like that's why I say I've changed for the good, because there's some parts of the Bible that have become, like there was theory before.
Yeah, now you've seen it
it's
practical. Yeah,
right?
Practical.
So I see how the word, and that was one of the first words that I got when my brother passed away. It was like the word the word became flesh and dwelt among us. And I said, the words that I know have become flesh. They have become real. It's not abstract. It's not theory. I'm working it out. And I could see myself responding the way the Bible would have wanted me to respond. Yeah. And I was looking at myself like, girl, really, is this you? So I was happy about that, of course. Of course, still going through the motions and going through like the pain, because the pain is very deep. It's a very deep type of pain. Sibling loss, I mean, I talk about my brother a lot because not that I don't love my dad. I feel like as a child, you know it's a rite of passage.
Yes.
You know that your parents are going to pass away. Though it's going to hurt, but a sibling is something that you do not want to happen. It is not supposed to happen. It's not natural. You're supposed to live life together. Yeah, you're supposed to raise your children together. You're supposed to do so many things that we are not going to be able to do because his life was cut short. You know what I mean? So sibling loss for me, I feel like is the pain is so deep. It cuts too deep. Cuts too deep.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. It's just, I think I'm going to listen to this afterwards and just feel it even more deeply. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you so much. I'm remembering a story post you posted a couple of days ago, like 2 or 3 days ago, about how you don't have any, sorry, my lash. Sorry. My lash is doing anything. You don't have any regrets about like your parents, your dad passing, you know, your mother-in-law just passed as well. And I can't remember exactly what you said, but I'd like to just walk you back to the exact moments when you decided to be super intentional about your parents. Because I feel like my dad now, obviously, he's still young, but he's getting old. And the reality of it is some of them just, that's even if God permits, right? He probably just has like 10, 15 or whatever. So when was the moment where you decided that you were going to be super intentional about your parents? And what were some things that you started to do, you know, that made you feel like very comfortable and at ease right now to not have regrets?
Okay. So I remember it was 2018 and I had just turned 30, 2018, and I was evaluating my life. I started working quite early, so at 24, and so I've always done things for my parents, right? I have always done things for my parents-in-law. But that season, I just thought to myself, I don't even know how that thought just came. I was just sitting there. I just thought to myself, I'm like, at best, because I'm the last of 5 kids. And so my parents are older in age. Like my dad, he's 75, or he would have been 75. My mom is 73. And so my parents-in-law, one is my father-in-law is in his 80s, my mother-in-law was in her 70s. And I said, at best, they have 20 years.
Yeah.
Right? And I felt like I was coming into more of who I was. And I wanted to show them love, you know, show them care. And I think it goes beyond money.
Yes.
When people think about taking care of their parents, they think about, oh, I have to buy X, Y, Z. Those things are important. But one thing that I made sure that I did was that we made sure that every month we were giving them allowance. Every single month. No matter if your parents have money or not. No matter if they're rich.
My pastor actually just said that last week.
Take something from your seed and give to your parents. The Bible taught, I see it as a biblical principle. There are biblical principles that I know that work. And I'm not doing it because you want to get something in return. I'm doing it because this is what the Bible instructs you to do.
Yes.
The Bible says, honor your father and your mother so that it will be well with you. And so for me, I said, I'm going to start doing certain things. Calling. Right? If you have to put a note on your phone, an alarm that says, like maybe twice a week, call mom, call dad, text mom, right? I started doing that. I talk to my mom almost every day, right? I started calling my mom, calling my dad. And then my parents live in Canada, but my dad used to come to Nigeria for a short period of time. And all the times that he was in Nigeria, I used to make food every Sunday.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I'll cook on Saturday nights because we're going to church in the morning. And I'll prepare food for my father and my parents-in-law. And for a period of time, I was taking food to them. They were eating Sunday lunch from my kitchen.
I love that.
Right? So and it was always something different. And they're always pleasantly surprised. Like, oh, wow, oh, nice. You know, I mean, something different from what they're eating on a regular basis. That was one. Secondly, that was two. So calling, messaging, cooking, always made sure that my children went to spend time with them, right? So even if it's just like 2 nights, just take them over with the nannies, make sure that they're spending time with their grandparents, right? And really just making sure that they are comfortable. I don't want to go into detail, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel like wow, like what you said.
But like even like the things that I was able to do for my parents in Canada, to be able to provide certain things that they don't necessarily need. But I feel like as a child, providing, you know, like accommodation, that they have a house, but doing certain things for them that they are now even more at rest. Like, you know what? Forget about you paying for XYZ. I'm going to take this on. And when my dad, you know, took his bow, there's nothing, like if my dad could come back, you ask him, is there anything you think Bunmi could do more? As I don't think he will say there's anything. Because if you ask him, what
you did well. You've
done everything that you can do. You know what I mean? So I want to live a life that I have no, and there are no regrets. But there are things that you must do so that you don't have regrets.
I like that. I like that a lot. I think even the fact that he passed after your brother passed is so interesting to me, because usually you see that with like the spouse like passing out. So I can't even imagine how close they were. But when they passed, both of them passed, I'm sure a lot of people were calling you and saying a lot of things, right? It's like, what is one thing that if anyone that's watching right now, if they've lost somebody, that they should not say? You know how people call and you're like, God knows best. Like, what's something that you heard and you just think is super insensitive that if you're watching right now, like, just don't say to anyone who's grieving someone they love?
The devil is after you.
Eh? Really? Someone said that?
Yeah. The devil is after you. And they started recalling all the different things that I had gone through, and like, you know,
wow.
The devil is trying to, and I'm just like, the devil doesn't have that much power greater than Jesus Christ over my life.
Yes.
So it's not possible.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But in those times, you're very vulnerable. You're very vulnerable. Yeah, you're in very, very weak states, mentally, emotionally, and even spiritually. So when somebody comes to you when you're already, because with grief, and not only for me, mine was grief plus trauma, because my brother was murdered.
Yes.
So I was not only dealing with grief, I'm dealing with trauma. With trauma comes fear, right? And you are now coming to tell me, how does that help me? Even if you feel like the devil is after me, then that should drive you to pray.
Did the devil send you? How do you know
you should
the devil
pray.
is after you?
So if you tell me the devil, what should I do? Right now, you know that if I'm in a war and the devil is after me, then I'm on the ground. So what are you telling me? Then you fight, help me fight, right? And I just felt like it was very, very insensitive.
Yeah.
And I did tell the person. I told the person.
Are you cool with the person now?
Yes, now I am. But
You're a very beautiful human being.
But I told them
in and out.
But me, I tell you, if you offend me, you're going to know.
I love him.
I said, you know what? I will appreciate if you don't say this to me. And if you want to say this type of thing to me, I'm going to have to cut off communication with you for this period of time until maybe they get their senses together, or I am in a better state emotionally and spiritually to be able to now have you back to speak on the speaking terms. But we had a conversation about it, and the person understood where I was coming from, and you can see why what they said didn't make any sense.
Yeah. I think listening to you talk, as in obviously we're having a conversation before we started, and I follow you online and everything. I think you're an amazing human being. Like, I feel like I'm going to attach myself to you after this conversation. But you're so beautiful, and I can just hear that you're someone who is coming to herself, and you have certain boundaries in place. Like, and even listening to you talk about this, I struggle with even expressing myself. If you hurt me, I feel like I would most likely internalize it. I'm doing better now, but I most likely internalize it before I come to you and say something. So I really love that you said that. But how have you been able to get to a point in your life where, or how have you been able to place certain, no, how have you been able to set certain boundaries for yourself in life?
I believe that boundaries are very, very important.
Yeah.
I believe that boundaries are healthy. And I believe that boundaries are very important in every relationship that you have. And I say this all the time. Boundaries with your parents, boundaries with your siblings, boundaries with your spouse, boundaries with your in-laws, boundaries with your friends. Boundaries are super important. They're very healthy. So for me, because of the type of person I am, I lead with my heart. And so my heart is very tender to me. I'm very careful about my heart because, as the Bible says, everything flows from your heart. And so for me, I don't know about other people, but for me, I am really triggered when certain things happen to me. And so because I want to keep my heart as tender as possible, and I don't want offense or anything to come, I'm going to have to set certain boundaries with people, but in a very loving way. And I'll let you know that, hey, this thing that you did, don't really like it. I would prefer if you do X, Y, Z. And a lot of times people don't like confrontations.
Yeah.
So I don't even call it a confrontation. We would have I like to call it a come to Jesus meeting. We will have a conversation.
I love it.
And then if there's clear any doubts, clear anything that it is that you have against me or have against you. But I believe that over time I've learned, as I'm getting older, I'm seeing the importance of boundaries.
Yes.
Because if you don't have boundaries, people are going to walk all over you. And people are going to think that it's okay to do so and that you are fine with it. And as opposed to you coming to dump on me or step on me, no, you're not going to do that. I'm going to make sure that I have boundaries in place in a very loving way. Loving, but you're not going to do that again.
I feel like I just want to listen to you talk. Like, I have so many questions in my head that it's just, I feel like I'm even going in different directions. But just to round up this conversation, because I really wanted it to unpack a lot about your loss, and your process, which I think you've touched on really well. But what is one thing that you would tell someone who is grieving a loved one right now? Ooh. Like one comforting, like just word of encouragement that you tell someone right now, because you've gone through it in the last 8 months, and you're still in the process.
I'm still in the process. So in no way, shape, or form am I a grief
coach exactly,
or anything like that. But I saw someone who I like to call my online therapist. Her name is Anita Phillips. She's a brilliant psychologist, and she does a lot of work with trauma. And I have actually been following her for many years, but in this season, I love her more because she talks a lot about trauma and fear and stuff like that, because she has also lost a sibling by suicide.
Wow.
Right? So we can kind of
Yeah.
And she said something that's very, very profound that I would like to leave with anyone who is going through grief. She says that you are like a box. So let's think about a square box. And grief is a very big circle that kind of engulfs the entire box. So in the beginning, that's how it feels. It consumes your entire life. You can't really do much because your nervous system, everything is really paralyzed by grief, by the pain and the suffering that you're going through mentally, emotionally, even physically.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so much that happens, like lack of sleep, insomnia, a lack of appetite. Some people are eating a lot, like just many things are happening. But over time, that circle begins to diminish in size, though it never goes away, but it now begins to bounce back. Just bounces. So you don't even know what is going to trigger. But when that ball bounces somewhere and it triggers something, it tells you that this thing is still there. There are many days that I still cry about my dad or my brother. Of course, when I remember something, I cry. And I honor it. And I think it's important to honor the feeling of grief. I no longer fear it. I used to be very afraid of it, afraid of my feelings, afraid of, my emotions. But I'll say honor it, honor that moment. If you need to cry, don't try to be the strongest soldier. Cry, let it out. I say this to myself all the time when I feel like sometimes I may be walking out to the gym and there are many people there and I feel like crying. This happened to me 3 days ago. Wow. I started crying. And I'm sure people are looking at me like, oh my God, this girl is crying. She must be going through a lot. And after I finished my 2 seconds of crying,
you continue working on?
I continue working. I clean my face and I was okay. You understand? So, but I make sure that I honor that grief in that moment, right? Because I don't want to trap the emotions in my chest.
Yeah.
Because I find that as people who are grieving, I don't know about other people, but I felt like at some point, if you unzip my chest, like you find like a wound there, right? But as time is passing, God is helping me, is healing. So my final words to the person is, you will always carry the grief. It will still be very painful, but it will no longer be as paralyzing. So it gets a little bit better with time.
Yes. Thank you so much for that. Thank you. Thank you for this conversation. I feel like you're such a bundle of wisdom. We're going to have you back on this show, and we're going to unpack a different topic entirely. And I pray that God continues to strengthen you and uphold you, and all the wisdom that you're sharing, you continue to just keep pouring to your community, because we love you and we love what you're doing. So we're just going to move on to our final segment. Okay, so we're moving on to our final segment, which is a rapid fire segment powered by Nutrify. You're going to choose from 1 to 14, just 4 numbers.
I'm going to choose 4 numbers.
Yes, so at random.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And you answer the questions as we go.
Very rapid, right?
So, yes, very rapid. Love you so much. Yes. So, go.
4.
If you were to create a wellness trend, what would it be?
Jump rope trend.
Jump rope? Yeah,
yes.
Okay, nice. Next.
6.
What's your favorite don't tell my trainer breakfast?
English breakfast.
Really?
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next.
Number 1.
What was the most challenging health goal you set for yourself?
I think losing, and I'm still on it, losing the fat on my back.
Okay, nice. Next one.
13. One more.
If you could create a vitamin that makes you feel like a superhero, what would it be?
Can I choose another question?
No! You don't want to be a superhero?
No! I don't want to save anything.
Just one.
I mean, maybe the ability to fly.
You make that a vitamin?
Yes, I'll just pop it and fly, and then I'm a superhero.
How would you? Sorry, it's supposed to be rapid fire, but why do you want to fly?
So I can go to places fast.
Oh, okay, makes sense. Okay, just one. I want one more. Just one number.
10.
What's your favorite late night snack that should probably be illegal?
To be fair, I always eat well.
Okay, I love that.
But with the amount of popcorn that I love, it should be illegal.
I love it. Thank you so much, Bunmi, for this. I love this conversation. Now I'm gonna give you a special gift to help you continue your health goals.
I'm excited.
From Nutrify.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I feel like I'm in La La Land.
Really?
Whoa.
Well, I hope you enjoy it. And we love you. And we want you to keep being healthy. So thank you so much for coming. I'm going to give you a big hug. Thank you.